How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm in a car right now,
You're
but
good.
I'm gonna answer all these questions. Make it great. I'm excited. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us today. No. I'm excited to get to talk to you. We had to reschedule this one, so I'm
I
glad that
know.
we
I'm sorry.
get. No, you're good. It was scheduling on all parts, so you're good. But no, would you like to? Can you just give a brief introduction of yourself to everyone in the chat?
Yeah, I am Christina, also known as K-Rod. I'm a freelance photographer, videographer for about 6 years now. I teach photography to young kids and adults. Um, I shoot a lot of editorial, hyper realistic photography, documentary work, and I generally just want to tell stories through my work, make people get emotional, working with me or just looking at my work. And I just strive to create high quality content to help people grow and help their businesses grow.
No, thank you for introducing yourself. I really like that part about getting some emotion out there. I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know. I like that little tidbit. And so yeah, could you kind of explain how you first got into photography?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually grew up in an area that the school I went to, they had a film program.
Mm,
So when I
yeah,
was in high school, I started studying as a sophomore. So I was studying film, and then I also picked up a photography class in high school. I got pre-college credits. So when I went to college, I already had
yeah,
credits in my film
right,
program.
yeah.
So I studied film at my community college, and then I dropped out during COVID because I love being in the classroom and I could not do the online. Like, it's just not for me. So I dropped out and I coincidentally met a studio, and they were like a multimedia studio. So it was like dance. They had producers, they
Oh,
had recording artists, they had makeup artists, and
yeah,
the photographers, the videographers, me. And working with them, it like kind of helped me one get more familiarized with the industry. We were still at a small level, but like meeting other people is a big part of knowing where you fit in the industry and how you
yeah,
can like not use people, but like,
yeah,
okay, you want to do a photo shoot, I know a makeup artist and I know
right,
a designer and I know a producer, like we can make this happen. So just making the connections, I met a lot of people through them. I just got my own studio with two of my close business partners, so now we're growing that with our rental house and just having a space for people to do photo shoots and video shoots. Um, but yeah, just kind of through the grapevine, I met a lot of people, a lot of mentors, and I became a mentor for a few, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
no. That's a super cool start, and I can personally relate to the kind of taking some of those classes. I also was fortunate enough. My high school had some film classes, and I kind of got into not photography, but the
Yeah.
film side. That was more my shtick. But yeah, that's really cool to hear. And so that beginning studio, that was kind of that collective. It's kind of going into the next question of, was that kind of contributing to how you got your first break, or did something else kind of get the ball rolling? Excuse me.
I don't think I ever really had a first break. Like, there was never a moment where I'm like, I mean, I guess because I was a waitress all throughout college and
Yeah.
high school. So, like, when I was making more money doing photography and film, I was like, I can actually quit my job.
Yeah.
Um, but also, COVID made me lose my job. So, I was unemployed for that time, but I was getting unemployment. So, I didn't have any money.
Right.
But being forced to, like, okay, fuck, now I got to figure this out, that really got me the wheels turning. And like
Yeah.
I found so many ways, like being in a predicament like that, it's like you find ways to make money fast. And I used a camera in the process, so it helped me learn how to be frugal,
Yeah.
and it also helped me just get better at my craft. But I don't think there was ever one like I shot
Right.
for Chance the Rapper, and I now I'm a I never really had that. I
Yeah.
shot for celebrities before, but it's more or less like I'm signing NDAs,
Right.
or I'm doing one-off projects with them, or I'm their recurring videographer or whatever. But it's not really like something that I'm
Yeah.
over here parading.
One or
Right.
done.
Right.
Okay. No. I think that's also really cool. The COVID, yeah, COVID. It's cool to hear that you were able to use that to kind of help you and kind of be able to grow more into your craft, because I know COVID did a number on
Right.
a lot of people.
I
Yeah.
know.
So I mean that I think that's honestly just really cool. Um, And so, speaking to kind of the equipment and stuff that you use, what do you use? What types of cameras, lighting equipment, editing softwares? Kind of what's your maybe your go-to equipment?
So I shoot on Sony currently. I was shooting on Canon for the first 5 years of my career. I shot in a Canon EOS 5D Mark IV, and then when I switched to Sony, I was shooting on. I'm shooting on a Sony AR5 and the
Ooh,
Sony
okay.
A7S III for
Yeah,
video.
yeah. Ooh, okay.
And Sony A7S III, like I love Sony because it's just so versatile. It's very user friendly. It's the autofocus is like unbeatable.
No, that's
Um, and I think I'm definitely Sony gang now. But I still have my
okay.
Canon. I have my reliable 5D. It's a really good camera, and I actually one of my like childhood idols. I don't know if you watch America's Next Top Model. Nigel Barker. He's one of the judges. He's
That's
like a
so
famous
familiar.
editorial photographer. I actually
Yeah.
took his master class here in Chicago, and I got to meet him. And he shot on the 5D Mark IV. So I'm like, oh well,
There you go. Okay.
it's really not the camera though, because people think so much about the cameras. Like, oh, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get the fucking
Yeah.
red. I'm gonna get the black magic, and it's like, yeah, you can have all this great stuff, but if there's no vision behind it, it might be ass.
No, that no, that is correct. Especially, yeah, some of those are you gonna drop a big check on some of those.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know how to use them. No, and so then as far as like editing software, do you have a go-to editing software you use to look through photos, edit photos, or maybe some of your videos?
I use Premiere Pro. I've also used Final Cut Pro. DaVinci is really good if you want to get into color grading.
Yeah,
Um, if you really, really want to get into like the film industry, Avid is like a way more hyper, um, very advanced editing software. But I
yeah,
think for like a lot of people, a lot of my mentees, they are starting on iPhones, and I'm like, well, when I first started my career, I was low key editing my photos on my phone because I didn't have a laptop, I
yeah,
didn't have Lightroom. I use like PixArt and like Visco, like basic editing softwares. CapCut is
yeah,
now great for a lot of video stuff. So I think it's just whatever you have resources to, don't break the bank if you don't have to,
yeah.
and if it's not your full time, like definitely be resourceful, and figure out how where you can get it where you fit in.
No, I think that's also yeah really good. I will say I have a Canon. I'm Team Canon, but I do appreciate a good Sony. I do appreciate a good Sony.
Yeah, Sony's nice.
And so, okay, so when you're going to a shoot, what does your process look like? Like, what are you doing before the shoot and then during the shoot? Kind of how are you working with your clients, things like that. That's a
Um,
there's like a step.
it depends on the
Okay,
project. So typically,
yeah,
I'll have the first consultation. Um, I figure out most people don't really know what they want,
yeah,
and I think you have to figure out like, okay, what do you envision? Okay, cool. And if they want me to do creative direction, I will. So that entails like, making a mood
right,
board, making a shot list or anything like that.
okay,
But a lot of times I just throw out ideas for them, like, well, you could do this and you could do that, and then from there they'll be like, okay, we could do this. I just really pick their brain to figure out what they want to do and if it actually fits in their
yeah,
budget.
yeah,
And then from there, once we solidify what we're doing for the shoot, deposit is sent, lock them in, location, concept, and before the shoot, I'm usually charging my batteries. I'm usually making sure everything is charged and ready to go. My SD cards are cleared and all my lights are charged. If I'm not using battery powered lights, then I'm making
yeah,
sure that everything is just in place. Um, but every shoot is different. Not every shoot's in studio. Not every shoot's on location. Not every shoot is a video shoot. Not every shoot's a photo shoot. So everything's different. But typically, just charging my stuff, getting in a good mental space because I'm about to lock in for X amount of hours and I can't miss the shots. But
no,
it's like any job, I do get scared every shoot. I don't know why, and I always do great. Like I always do great, but I still get nervous every time I go before a shoot, just because I love what I do. like if I didn't get nervous, I wouldn't be passionate about it.
no, that's true. Yeah, no, okay, so that no, I yeah that last statement I think is there's I'm gonna put it as like a vulnerability. I feel like when you're doing something that you're really caring about and you really do want it to come out, a good product.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Okay. We have a question in the comments, which I'm gonna get to because I think it's kind of tied to what you said previously. Do you have any tips for someone trying to transition from phone to DSLR?
I would say YouTube University is your best friend. If you have any questions, like just Google it. Why is my camera shutting off when it gets too hot? Like any question you have, look it up. Unless you have a mentor, you cannot always. That's why online school wasn't for me, because I
Yeah.
wanted to be asking these questions in real time to the
Right.
professor. So YouTube is great. I've literally used that, and I still use that to figure out new editing techniques, new cameras. What is the best camera to buy? I'll watch a review of 5 different cameras, and I'll see which one is best for what I need it for. But just if you don't have people in your circle who are shooters or
Yeah.
people who you can call upon, I would definitely just go on YouTube and do your research on different products that you think. So like if you want to shoot nature, maybe go more Nikon. If you want to shoot editorial, maybe go
Yeah.
Canon. If you want to do nightlife, Sony's great. So different cameras are known for different things, but obviously you can use them for all. Um, but whatever your main focus is, definitely find something that suits those skills.
Okay. No. 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 Yeah. People in the chat agreeing too, being like, yeah, Google is that best friend. That is true. No, no, no. And so then kind of a follow up to that, how maybe do you have any tips for people who are trying to find community or trying to find a mentor, maybe?
There are a lot of photography meetups. Also, there's so many different studios in Chicago.
Yeah.
Going on Peerspace too is good, but I think finding the Instagram is better, and like DMing them and being like, hey, like I really love this space. I would love to get into photography more.
Yeah.
Is there any way I can help out at your space or help you out? I've had a lot of people hit me up just wanting to shadow me on shoots, and I brought people on that I just met to a shoot just to show them like, how I work. And a lot of people unfortunately are gatekeepers, and they won't like people like see their sauce, or
Yeah.
get a taste of their sauce. And I think that's corny because there's enough to go around. And I think all it is just showing interest. And as long as it's a two-way street and you're both benefiting in some way, I think it's good to help people out because karma is real.
No. Yeah. That sense of community and yeah, not gatekeeping
Right.
stuff. Yeah, that part I think is a big one. It's like everyone's trying to grow, everyone's trying to get something out of it. There's
Yeah.
not try and gatekeep it.
And the photography meetups, yes, they are. I see her comment, Nessa. The photography meetups are nice. I used to go to them, um, but some of them are kind of weird. I will say some of them are a lot more like, oh, women wearing lingerie, and there's
Uh,
only male photographers, and it's like I don't support this. I mean, I don't feel comfortable in these rooms. And so you got to find the right crowds for you. But there is crowds, there's a crowd for every
yeah.
different. Ooh, what is this guy? Sorry, this guy just spit out of his car. Um, but just finding your crowd, and especially if you have a certain style,
Yeah.
like go for people who shoot similar to the way you want to shoot.
Okay. That kind of goes to another question. We've got really good segues here. Is maybe do you have tips for people to find their style, or maybe how do you find yours?
Just
Oh, lost connection. No. Okay.
many different things as you can. See what you're bad at.
Oh wait, there.
See what you're good at. Can you hear me?
Okay, wait. Now we can hear you again. Now, yeah.
What is the last thing you heard?
Just the like very first word of what you first started to say.
Just try everything. Just try every type of photography. Try every type of videography. Um, just to see what you're bad at and what you enjoy and what you're good at.
Yeah.
There's no way to. You can study and learn all you want, but if you don't actually, pick up the camera and see what you enjoy and what brings you joy, then it's gonna hurt your style.
Cutting out again. Okay, wait. Okay, now you're back now. Okay, okay. We heard the end of that one. We heard the end of that one. We got through that one. Okay. So then I kind of wanted to go to what goes into your perfect shot. you're on a shoot, and maybe this is more photography aimed, of like what would you consider your like a perfect shot from a shoot?
Obviously no blinking, no like weird faces. Like as long as the model's face is on point and their body looks good, like as far as not awkward, like doing weird poses. The composition, I always use rule of
Mm,
thirds as my composition and like the golden ratio.
yeah,
Um, but I think if the image can make me gasp, then that's the perfect shot.
I like that description of it.
Every
No, no,
time,
no.
like
I
literally,
like
if you
yeah.
ever get on a shoot with me, if you ask any of my models that I've shot with, once I start being like, yeah, oh my god, like that's when I got the shot. They're like, I already know she got that shit.
No, okay, I like that. I like that though. You can tell. No, no, no. So then, okay, so when you're working with models, as you said earlier, you were like, some people don't fully know what they want yet. Are you usually the one that will work on posing them, or do
Yeah.
they come in? Okay, so
Normally yes, but if they're a model, I usually let them do their thing because like I
yeah,
understand that that's their craft, and they're not gonna be like, hey, hold the camera
right,
like this. Like they're not gonna tell me to do that. So why would I tell them put your head like this? You know.
yeah,
So, but most people I shoot are not models.
okay,
I work with a lot of people who just aren't comfortable being in front of the camera. So part of my job is having to like get people comfortable.
yeah,
But if I tell them a pose, I'm like, okay, do this. But if that doesn't feel right, adjust it to how your body wants you to pose, and then that's how normally they look. They look a lot better when that happens.
yeah. And so when you're researching, or maybe you don't research, but like, how do you have maybe a kind of mental catalog of poses that typically work for a shoot?
Pinterest,
Okay, but that's
like
there we go. Okay,
typing in female poses
yeah,
editorial, or typing in dark photography, or typing in anything.
yeah,
That's how I make my mood boards. Is I go on Pinterest, I make a board, and then I'll add things to that board that pertain to like the theme.
yeah. Okay.
And I always have one prepared for male poses and female poses, because I always have to look at something if I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that part is good. I think having that kind of backup, something you can rely on, go back to.
Um,
That part, yeah, because there's a lot of content out there. I'm like, I've browsed Pinterest boards before. There's a lot of content out there to go
right.
through. And so okay, so then is that also kind of how you stay on top of different photography trends or videography trends, or like how do you kind of navigate that if you follow those trends at all?
It depends on the trend. Like I don't. You have to give me an example, because I don't
Okay.
really. I'm not really like a trendy. Like I shoot the way I want to shoot.
Okay, I'm gonna take that as because I don't have a trend off the top. I'm not
It's
gonna
okay.
lie. If people who do photography are in the comments and have a specific trend that's happening now or has happened recently, then that's fine. But I do not have a trend off the top. Um, so we'll put a pin in that in case
Right.
in case someone has an example. We'll come back to. But then okay, so what's one of your favorite projects that you've gotten to work on?
There's an event that I shoot every year. It's called the Hyper Gala,
Mm.
and it is a boxing tournament. It's a boxing gala, so it's a lot of rich people. They come, they dress in their best clothes. They
Huh.
come to this beautiful venue, and it's like a 5-course meal they get, and it's people boxing in a ring the entire time, and they can make bets on it. A lot of people make a lot of money. A lot of people lose a lot of money. Um, but it's really entertaining, and every time I shoot, like I always just blow them away. Like the video edit, like they're always so blown away, and like every year, we just plan on making it bigger and
Yeah.
better than last year. New music, like just something different. And
Yeah.
the past 3 years, I have 3 videos of that, and like just seeing the growth from all 3 years. It's really cool to see your own growth.
Oh yeah. That's really nice. No, I like that. That's a like very interesting sounding event. I wouldn't have.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I wish I was a guest, but I'm always working. But they treat me like a guest. They're really cool people.
Okay. That makes it good. That makes it good. No. Um. Okay. Yeah. That's a really cool like sounding. I thought of that. Interesting. Okay. And so then this kind of goes to maybe you how about like maybe clientele, like how do you typically go about clients? Because I know you have a contact to try and book photography services, but do you ever go out and look for clients or just do research
Um,
yourself?
I will say like 85% of my clients come through Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
having an online
yeah,
presence.
yeah.
Facebook, sometimes I'll get some inquiries. I also have a website that you
Right.
can send like, but I will say most of my clients come to me. I feel like when I have a dry rut, like well, I'm not
Yeah.
getting booked for a while, I will start doing collabs.
Okay.
So a lot of people always like, oh, do you do collabs? And I'm most of the time I'm like, no, I don't. But I do collabs when I have a dry rut because I need to get my juices flowing again and get people. When I put out work that I truly enjoy, people like if you look at my page, you know, you don't have to go right now, but one of the last posts I did, it was a mother and a baby. She just gave birth like a few months or like a few weeks ago actually.
Wow.
Um, and it's just a close friend of mine and just be like, hey, like I want to do this for you. This is my vision. Will
Yeah.
you let me, you know, capture you? And like she was
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course. And then just seeing her like, oh my God, like this made me cry. Like that makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And that makes me like I genuinely love it. Like other people love it too. And it's just like when you do something out of love, I feel like you get a lot more
Yeah.
better quality out of it because your heart's in it.
Mm. No, I think that goes to what you were kind of talking about earlier with like the passion behind what you're doing and how that kind of fuels it. And I think you can tell when stuff is passion versus if it's just like, let me just crank something out to get some
Right. To
numbers.
get the job done.
No, no,
There's definitely a difference.
yes, I think you can tell, but no. And so then about the collaboration stuff, I guess how does that process? Is that so? You typically are reaching out and saying, can I come and shoot with you, and then you both take photos, or can you kind of walk through what a
Yeah,
collaboration?
so normally I'll have an idea already in mind. Okay, I want to do this
Yeah.
shoot of a woman in a church sitting in the pews
Okay.
crying, but I want to find a woman that plays the part.
Okay.
And I'll find I know a lot of models. I work for a lot
Yeah.
of like the fashion shows in Chicago, and I know a lot of models just from
Right.
having similar common friends and seeing each other in places. So I usually will like, hey, I'll ask a model friend, hey, this is my vision. Do you know anybody who would be down to do something like this? And they'll send me recommendations. There's also like websites you can go
Oh,
on to find models near
yeah.
you and like get their headshots. I know Trend Sapio, I'm a part of. It's online. It's a Chicago. Like you can make an account. It's literally called Trend Sapio. You can sign up as a model or a photographer.
Oh,
I'm signed up as a model, but I can see all the other models in there.
oh, okay.
And I can reach out to them if I want to work with them. But um, who is this baddie? um, but yeah, I think I always reach out to them like, hey, I have this idea. Are you down?
Okay.
And if they're not down, that's fine. Like I've had people literally ask, like I had someone I did one and they were like, oh, this is a little too demonic for me. And it wasn't demonic, but I like dark, spooky
No.
stuff, and like they were not about that. So it's always worth a shot. I gotta shoot my shot
No.
sometimes.
That's true. No, no, no. Okay, so that's interesting. So then, if there's another, do collaborations ever involve another photographer or another
Yeah,
videographer?
I
Okay.
do normally another. Yeah, both.
Okay.
I've done a shoot. There's a necklace. They basically make like big beaded necklaces.
Okay.
They're from Colombia, and I reached out to her. She's a small business owner. I'm like, hey, I love your pieces.
Yeah.
This is another shooting my shot moment. I was like,
Okay.
hey, I love these pieces. Um, I'm a photographer from Chicago. I understand that you're from New York. Would you be willing to send me some pieces and I can shoot like
Yeah.
content for you for your because she didn't have a lot of photos of her products, and if they were photos, it was like kind of booty ass photos. They weren't that good. So I was like, hey, I'm an editorial photographer. Like I would love to use these pieces. At first she was like, nah, I'm not doing that shit. She's like, at first she was like, nah. 3 weeks later, she DMs me. She's like, hey, I'm opening for collabs again. I'm going to pick out three
Okay.
pieces you want and I'll send it to you. And them necklaces were like $180 each. So I'm like, I just want two. Like, I don't need
Yeah.
three. Just give me two. I'm not going to overdo it. So I picked out my two favorites. And then I had a model, a model I picked out specifically for this project because she's indigenous. She's Mexican indigenous.
Yeah.
So I had her model them. We went to the woods, and then I had a BTS photographer come with me, and I also had a BTS videographer come with me. And I expressed to everybody like, "Hey, this is not a paid project. I'm not getting paid. Um, the only way that it's just exposure and it's just love. So like, if you don't want to come, I understand. Um, I always come with that energy,
Yeah.
and like, if you don't want to come, I get it. But most of the time, they're like, "Yeah, I'm fucking with you, K-Rod. I'm gonna come." Like, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all fun. And I feel like everybody eats at the end of the day. And I always provide the equipment. I always make sure that, no one's editing. I'm edit everything. Like, I don't want to give anyone more work than they need
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So when you I guess when you provide the equipment, that kind of goes to the next, or like a similar question of like, I see on your website you have a page on equipment rentals.
I
Are
do.
do you have equipment that you have like readily available, or is it more of you're directing people to where they rent equipment?
No, so it's my gear. So they can reach out and be like, "Hey, is it available for this date?" And I'll let them know if
Yeah.
it is or not.
Interesting. Okay, that's really cool. Okay. That's okay. Interesting. Okay. And so then, as far as like, if people wanted to rent equipment, should they go to your website? Do you have other recommendations for where people can look for equipment?
ShareGrid. ShareGrid is an online base. You make an account. So I have an account on ShareGrid, and I have my gear on there. So anybody can make an account. Anybody can list their own
Yeah.
gear and rent it out. It's like a Facebook Marketplace, but you're
Oh,
renting it. You're not
yeah.
buying the gear.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Because I know that there were some people who were wondering as far as equipment, because we have some. I can tell there's already at least one person in here that does photography, and so I thought I would ask, let people know. Okay, interesting. So then, I guess this kind of, well, no, we'll go to this one. You also have taught classes at CPS. This is
I will be.
you will?
I've taught a few pop-ups for Thornton Township High School.
Okay.
I've worked with CPS as far as like being a photographer and videographer, but I'm not a teacher in
Oh,
CPS yet.
okay. Yet. No. Emphasis on yet. Okay. So then when you're going into that, I guess, what's that gonna look like? Will you just have a program that people
So
gonna?
some schools it's
Yeah.
different. So the school that I'll be working at in the fall, it's only once a week, and it's after school class. It's not during
Okay.
school, and it's
Yeah.
only 1 hour. So
Okay.
basically, they get a grant. The grant covers the equipment. So I give them a list of
Ooh,
all the equipment they're going to need,
okay.
and the grant will cover purchasing the equipment so the kids have equipment to use. So I'm not using my gear.
Yeah. Okay. That's really cool. And so then as far like you'll start that, would you ever look to create your own program?
I
Whether that
have. I actually
okay.
teach my own master classes. I think I want to go make them large scale.
Yeah.
But I teach classes where basically people come sit down, they watch me do a shoot, and then sometimes I'll have on the TV, like I'll edit the photo quickly, and
Yeah.
then I'll like have them watch me edit as well. But
Okay.
I've done a few of those. I plan on doing another one in September
Okay. That would be on your what? That would be
on
posted on the website. Posted.
my Instagram, but
Okay.
it'll be in person, probably at my studio.
Okay. I'm gonna have you actually. Can you type your Instagram in the chat? And I'm gonna pin the
Yes.
comment. Go for it. I really didn't do that at the beginning. I want people to be able to go check out your work. I will pin the comment. So for everyone watching, please, you can follow us for more updates on other sessions and things like that. You can also follow pinned comment to follow K Rod. Go check out her work and check out her website. Okay, yeah. So then, when you're on a shoot, how many photos do you take out of that shoot before you
Like
get to your final?
300 to 700, and then I give them no more, like depending on if it's an event.
Yeah,
An event, I usually give out a lot more images than I would at editorial. Editorial, I'm giving max 20, and for like an event, I'll give
yeah.
like max. If it's a wedding, I'll give them like 400,
Wow.
200.
Yeah.
For like a normal event, maybe like 100.
How do you sift through all those photos to get down to your last pick?
I just do it.
Just get through.
There's
Okay,
there's
no.
AI that you can use now that AI can pick
Ooh,
it out, but like
yeah.
I don't trust that
Okay.
shit.
I know. I'm on the same page. But I was gonna hear you out. I was gonna hear you out. I was like, okay, maybe they got something new. I don't know about. All right,
The
that's
AI though, I've heard of it though, but I always look for certain things.
yeah.
But you can teach the AI your style as well. But I have yet to like learn something new.
No, that's fair. No, yeah, that's fair. Um, okay, and so then I'm gonna kind of go. I'm looking through. make sure that I get through the ones that we had written down. As far as development, you're fully digital photos.
Correct.
Yes.
I
Do you
have
ever?
done film before, but it's not my expertise.
Okay. Okay. Just checking. Make sure there's nothing physical film stuff we can ask about. Um, and so then as far as maybe videos, you're more heavy on photography than videos. Yes.
I would say currently,
Okay.
yes.
Will that change? Think you have like a vision for where you want to go more video heavy in the future, or you think you're just gonna stick more photography heavy?
I think it's gonna be hand in hand. I get booked for both of them equally,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I'm hiring on my business partner to be the shooter. So say it's an event, they need a photographer and a videographer. I know my strong suits are photography, even though I can still
Right.
do video. I
Right.
excel more in photography, and my business partner Transcend, he excels more in video. So I'm not gonna be dumb and switch us.
Right.
I definitely put people in positions to where they're doing their job that they know that they can
Yeah.
do well. But I still get booked for it a lot. I just always have somebody else doing it if I can't.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So then, I guess, do you have advice for other people, newer artists looking to get into photography or videography, of tips of how they can do so, or just anything
I
of
would
that sort? I guess.
say find people, find your people. You need to have a community to feel one like you're doing the right thing, because if you're doing it alone, it's not as fun. When you have people around you who you can kind of remind you like, yeah,
Yeah.
you raw as fuck. Like that feels good. You need that, and you need the people who also understand you. So just find your people, find the spaces that you want to belong to, and
Yeah.
just work hard.
No, I think that's solid advice. As we were kind of talking about earlier with the community photography events and kind of finding your niche. And I think that goes back to when we talk about finding style, um, and just kind of making use of what you have instead of dropping money on something that
Right.
you don't technically need at that moment, unless you have that passion out there or that already. Um, and so then I guess kind of also back at where you started versus where you are now. What advice would you give your past self?
Learn how to say no.
Mm,
Because I was a yes man for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah,
It hurts you. I mean, it's also put me in good
right,
situations, in rooms I wouldn't have been in elsewise
yeah,
or otherwise. Um, but I do think that being a yes man hurts you, and it's good to know your boundaries and know when to say no.
interesting. Okay, no, that's a good one. I feel like a lot of the time I've heard a bunch of different messages and answers to that question, but I feel like that's a good one is having those boundaries.
Mm.
Maybe more of an unsung hero. I'll put it like that, or like a not as thought of thing to go into any industry with, maybe. Especially
Yes.
I like that
Thank
one. Okay, I'm reading back through the questions to make sure. Um, okay, so this is going back to photography a little bit. What's the difference when you're shooting an artist versus actual model? You kind of talked about it earlier, but I wonder if you have any more different.
Models are a lot more on their shit. They're very much
Yeah, ready to.
and artists are usually like, it depends on the type of art.
Okay.
So if they're a
Yeah.
dancer, they're pretty close. They're pretty close to models. Like they know their angles. If they're a musician, if they're a rapper, they do not want to do anything crazy. They just want to look cool. They don't want to do nothing. They don't want to. And I love
No.
working with women, and I love working with people who are androgynous,
Okay. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people they are not afraid to be feminine. They are not to be afraid to be masculine. And I feel like a lot of our culture, we have a lot of straight men who just feel like anything can be gay, and it's like, no, like just because you're sitting like this
Right.
does not make you gay. It's okay, you look cool still. And it's just, I wish people were more comfortable in their
Yeah.
in just being feminine and
Right.
masculine, and doesn't always have to make it gay. But when it comes to getting a cool shot, sometimes I do want to try different
Yeah.
things. But obviously, I want to make sure everyone's
Right.
comfortable and they feel like, they look their best selves. But I do enjoy working with androgynous people and women.
Interesting. I think that's also that's a really interesting one because I actually wouldn't have fully thought about that, but I cannot say I'm that surprised either. Um,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But no. Okay, and so then going back, I'm reading I'm reading through my and to make sure that I got through the things that we wanted to get through. The artists and models. I guess this is kind of going opposite of a question I asked earlier. What's been one of your more difficult projects you've worked on? And then maybe what kind of lesson did you take from it?
I had to shoot a golf tournament, and it was 3 days, and we needed drone work, we needed photography, we needed videography, we needed a 15-minute video, and it it was 3 days, and it was like a full day every day, and we're driving to different parts of Illinois to get to different golf courses each day, and we have to keep up with like 15 golfers. We have to like chase them on their carts on top of holding our gear. It was a lot. But I really did enjoy that project.
Okay.
Apart from the stress,
Right.
my guys were there with me, and it helped. Like I said, you need a team, and like doing that alone is impossible. So it's always good to have a team. But yeah, they made my experience a lot more easy to cope with, but it was very
Yeah.
stressful. Um, but I think it came out pretty good at the end. In the end.
No, that the drone stuff, that's
I
that
had a guy do that. I
I
don't do that shit.
was
My
I don't know.
homie Nick did that.
Okay, because I don't know anything about the drones, but that's already sounds like a lot. The different assets that you
Yeah.
gather,
We
and
had
then
to mic them all up.
oh,
We had to get their audio too, make sure the audio was on point. Like it was just a lot.
that's
It was a lot.
I,
On a golf course, playing golf, like
I applaud. I give you I give you high respects for getting through that. That's a lot, and going through at different courses too. I wouldn't have even thought of that part. Yeah. Okay. And so then this is going back to kind of well, I guess this is kind of going to like marketing because you say you get more of your kind of clients off of Instagram. Would you say that social media is now probably a more important factor in kind of getting yourself out
yes.
there and marketing yourself?
I think that's one of the only things I'm using currently to get myself out there. I think I should try other things as well, but
Yeah.
showing face is definitely the second best one. It's just pulling up at events
Yeah.
and being a personality.
Yeah. That's fair. There's a lot of networking. I feel like is a common thing that people are. You got to be able to go and network and get
Definitely.
no. Um. Okay, I'm looking back through. I think that that's all of my questions for you today. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining. You
you.
get a lot of really cool stories and experiences, and you do a whole bunch of different type of photography and stuff. Um, so again, everyone, the pinned comment is K Rod's account. Please follow and check out. You have really cool photos up there. I looked through to come up with some of these questions, so I just wanted to say that. And I like the spooky photos too.
Thank
Um,
you.
I really like that aesthetic. But no, thank you so much for joining and for answering all of my questions, getting through that and sharing, letting me rack your brain about all your different experiences. And yeah,
You're right.
you can please follow, and you can also follow us. We will be back on Thursday with another interview. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Good night.